Welcome back, everyone, to the Truth and Freedom podcast, where awakening begins with asking the question most people are afraid to ask. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Amzallag, and this is not just another podcast. This is a journey into awareness, courage, and truth. Now, in today's episode, we will discuss the topic of emotional independence, detaching without disconnecting. Now, have you ever noticed how easy it is to lose yourself in others? How your peace can feel dependent on whether someone texts you back, smiles at you, or validates your worth. Now, emotional independence isn't about being cold, detached, or indifferent. It's about finding that quiet, unshakable center inside of you, the one that doesn't crumble when the world around you gets loud. Now, in a culture that often romanticizes codependency, many of us grow up believing that love means merging completely, that closeness means surrendering our individuality. But real intimacy, real connection, only happens when two whole people meet, not two halves trying to complete each other. Now, emotional independence begins when we stop outsourcing our happiness. We live in a world that teaches us dependency from the start. Depend on approval, depend on system, depend on validation, and depend on someone else's affection to know that you matter. Now, it's subtle, but it's everywhere. You can see it in a way we panic when our partner pulls away, or how silence feels like rejection. We start believing that other people are responsible for how we feel, and that belief silently chains us. When you depend on someone else's behavior to determine your peace, you hand over the remote control of your emotional life. But detaching without disconnecting is an art. It's not about withdrawing or building walls. It's about building boundaries. Detachment means recognizing that love is not ownership, that caring deeply doesn't mean losing yourself in the process. It's standing in the storm of someone else's emotion without being swept away by them. It's hearing someone else's criticism and realizing that it's more about their state of mind than your worth. Emotional independence doesn't numb you. It makes you more compassionate because you stop needing others to fix you or fill you. Now, true emotional independence comes from emotional literacy, the ability to understand your feelings, to sit with them, to see them not as threat, but as teachers. Now, most people fear their own emotions because they were never taught how to hold space for them. So they project, they blame, they cling, or they run. But the more we develop emotional awareness, the more we realize that feelings are visitors, not permanent residents. They pass through when we allow them. The moment we stop fighting them, we gain power. You can love someone deeply and still choose peace over chaos. You can care without caring. Now, there's a moment that comes in every relationship, whether romantic, familial, or even professional. And when you realize that you cannot control the other person's choices, only your responses to them. Now, that's where freedom begins. You can set boundaries and still love. You can walk away without bitterness. You can detach and still remain kind. Now, emotional independence is the bridge between connection and freedom. It lets you give love without losing your center. When we practice detaching without disconnecting, we move from reacting to responding. We stop taking everything personally. The silence of another person no longer feels like abandonment. It becomes information. Their anger no longer feels like threat. It becomes data. Now we stop internalizing what doesn't belong to us. This shift creates a profound emotional peace. And ironically, when we no longer cling, we become more magnetic. People sense groundedness. They sense safety. Emotional independence isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of healthy love. Now think about it. When you're dependent, every argument feels catastrophic. Every distance feels fatal. But when you're not emotionally independent, you see relationship as choices, not lifelines. You show up because you want to, not because you have to. You express love from abundance, not scarcity. Now, the energy of needs repels. The energy of wholeness attracts. And the truth is, emotional independence doesn't make you harder to love. It makes you easier to respect. Now, there's something incredibly powerful about a person who can say, I love you, but I don't need you to be okay. That statement isn't cold, it's conscious. It honors both souls. Because the moment you need someone to behave a certain way for you to feel peaceful, you're no longer in love. You're in dependency. And dependency, dressed up as love, is the root of so much suffering. Now, to cultivate emotional independence, start with awareness. Notice the moment when your emotional state is being dictated by someone else's mood or attention. Then take a deep breath. Create that pause between stimulus and response. And ask yourself, what am I feeling? And what does this emotion need from me right now? Often, the answer isn't to text, argue, or prove your worth. It's simply to hold space for yourself, to soothe the inner child that craves certainty and connection. Now, the more you can self-soothe, the more grounded you become in your own energy. Now, as you grow in emotional independence, your relationship evolves. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop performing for approval and start expressing your truth. Now, you no longer fear losing people because you know you can't lose what's meant for you. The relationship that remains will be built on mutual respect, not control, on shared growth, and not dependency. Emotional independence doesn't mean you stop needing people altogether. It means you stop needing them to define you. It means you can give without resentment, receive without guilt, and walk away without hate. It's a quiet strength, not loud rebellion. It's a confidence to say, I choose connection, but also choose myself. In the end, emotional independence is about returning home to yourself, to that still place where your worth isn't negotiated, where your peace isn't conditional. It's realizing that love is not about possession, but presence. That freedom and intimacy can coexist, and in fact, they thrive together. Because when two emotionally independent people love each other, their love is not based on fear, it's based on choice. And that is the most liberating truth of all. Hope you all enjoyed this insightful episode as much as we did. And stay tuned for our next one as we'll explore the victim trap, reclaiming power in a blame-driven world. Until then, my friend, stay awake, stay grounded, and stay free.